After Tel Aviv's public talk about the displacement plans, the Arabs made it clear with their message to the West. Displacement is a red line, despite all pressures and temptations. Much has been said about what was offered to Egypt in return of approval and start of implementation, and Cairo insists on its rejectionist position, and behind her were all the Arabs. This is a reminder that the battle is not between Hamas and Israel. Not even between the Hebrew state and the dreams of the Palestinians. Let us all remember that Israel is an advanced Western project to attack the Arabs. Even the Zionists themselves in their first project during the days of the Herzl conferences, the creation of a Jewish state in Palestine was their only option. But the West at that time wanted to be in Palestine specifically as a continuation or another round of the Crusades. It is enough to see their position on the last war to be sure the war is between the West and the ancient East. Among a nation that believes it has supremacy and a nation still healing the wounds caused by colonialism and continuing wars. The goal of the Westerners is undoubtedly to preserve all Arab regimes and peoples on a hot tin. As soon as they get them out of one war and crisis, they bring them into another. We quickly remind you of the War of 1948, and the War of 1956, then the War of 1967 and after that the War of 1973, then the Lebanon War, which began in 1975 and the subsequent Israeli invasion in the 80s, in parallel with the Iranian-Iraqi War and then the Gulf Crisis that followed the invasion of Kuwait, and then the siege of Iraq and the Algerian War which broke out in the 90s, then the occupation and destruction of Iraq in the year 2003. Then began the so-called Arab Spring and the ignition of wars in many Arab countries under the label of freedom and human rights, along with the Israeli wars from time to time on Gaza. Perhaps the Arab regimes, or some of them, fear a major clash with the West, but they fully realize that the West, specifically America, is the one behind all this mess, and the fate of those who will say no to them is known. Even Saddam, who had, one day, the fourth largest army in the world in terms of numbers, was unable to withstand. The last thing to say is that this major clash that we talked about is inevitably coming. Everyone just has to prepare. Everyone is in the same boat to face this destiny, systems and peoples. The war began centuries ago and will certainly not end now.